How's everybody doing? It's been a very long time since we have had a Civil War game, so I figured, why not go ahead and put one together? Welcome to Civil War: A Realm Awakened. This is our Session 0. Tonight, we are going to discuss everything that our players, and possibly you, would need to know about the upcoming seasons of this campaign. We'll get into all of that as we continue on. But first, before we get into any of it, let's quickly go over our schedule. Tomorrow we are off. Fate is out, going to be out through the rest of the year. In the meantime, I may jump on, play some 76. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It might be nice to have an evening off and just kind of do nothing. We'll deal with that when we get to that point. But in the meantime, Friday, first thing in the morning, 8:30. Make sure you tune in. We're going to do D&D replay. We'll cover all of our games for the past week. Play all of the replays for them. And prepare us for the upcoming Sealing Dragon session at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Friday night. Very much looking forward to that game too. That is a fully cammed game if you haven't seen it before. All 5 of our players plus our DM are all on camera. It's nice because everybody can see our interactions and have fun and enjoy it, and it's pretty laid back and fun and lots of enjoyable things about it. Let's see, what else do we got? Tyranny coming up on Tuesday, Giants on Wednesday, which should be the last Giants game of the year, if I'm not mistaken. Same with Tyranny. Tyranny is definitely the last because Christmas and New Year's Eve, so those are going to kind of cancel out all of that. Ascension Sunday the 30th is definitely happening, and then we'll discuss tonight the first session of Civil War for the actual true Session 1. I think other than that, though, we are pretty much ready to go. We're still missing somebody, surprisingly. Let's jump in here and see how everybody's doing. All right, how you guys doing over here?
Oh, we're all having a meltdown. It was bad. The minute you left,
I'm not worried. Who's worried?
Rin killed some people. It got bad.
It's fine.
Wrong character. I'm not playing that person anymore.
No.
Nope, not playing that person. Playing a totally different one. All right, so it looks like Ark is not with us yet. He'll join us whenever he gets on. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys this document. This is your Session 0 checklist. Go ahead and take a quick glance at it, and we will cover everything you need to know about this.
It's on the Discord for people who
It is.
didn't notice it.
All right, so first and foremost, we'll go around and have everybody give us just a quick introduction. Some players haven't really got to play with each other, like Alliance and Empire joined each other at the very tail end of the Civil War campaign, didn't really get to know each other. Give us a chance to kind of introduce one another. So who would like to start that? Nobody?
I can go.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everyone. I know a good majority of you. I think really only Grey Jedi is the only one I haven't had any extended playing with. So, hi, it's me again. I'm always here. I'm Brindis, BWG, over on Party Wipe Gaming, if you ever care to look at our other stuff when we're playing, or when we're playing with Arc or with Forge and other games. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I promise not to kill anyone, especially not children.
Very much appreciate it. All right. Anybody else want to step up?
I'll go. I believe I've played with all of you, not just in games on here, but outside. I think besides, well, I think I've at this point played a couple games with all of you, so they all know me as the Spoon Man. Hi.
Hi, Spoon Man.
Hello.
All right. Anybody else?
Well, I'd like to hear from Sideshow Bob. Anyway, I'll go. That joke fell flat. I'm Rez PWG. I know pretty much everybody here. I didn't get really to play with Spoon or Gray or Spoon, Gray, or Salty very much. But we had a fantastic finale where we all teamed up and killed a guy. Who probably deserved it. We're still looking at the facts.
That guy had a name, all right?
Yeah. Guy who ruined my other character's family. I think that's what he was called. Pretty sure. And I'm looking forward to this upcoming game.
Rez, how could Guy ruin your family when he's dead?
Guy is dead.
That guy.
That guy is definitely dead. All right.
I'll go next. I'm Grey Jedi. I played Avalana last season, I guess, and she was someone who had no business being there. And this season, I'm going to play her daughter, who has no business being here again. And I believe I played with all of you guys.
Yeah. All right.
You should play people that belong.
Don't belong.
I guess that actually gave me a good idea. Everyone should introduce what characters they played in the last season, since we are all from previous. I was the paladin, Belvedere Jehoshaphat, chosen warrior, or chosen paladin of Tyr, and one of the champions of them.
Ooh, even throwing in Champion of the Empire, too.
Well, I played Rylan Perigis, the man who would have been king. Apparently, everybody was pushing. Everybody was pushing for it, but me. I thought it was really funny, and he was a knight of the realm of the Living Isles. That definitely wasn't cursed by a magical pendant that allows him to summon a boat.
Absolutely not cursed.
Definitely not cursed. It was fake news, so it's fine. It's fine. And he might also have had a small score of children that are roaming the realms. Maybe you'll get to meet some of them.
A small score.
I mean, that's not an exaggeration.
Well, I played the half-elf Avalana, who was a bard.
Yeah. And Salty, you're the only one left.
I think. I'm Spoon 2.0, as Rez said. Salty. But I played Dorn last session or campaign, and this one I played Jest, who is yet to be introduced, obviously yet. I've actually played with Ren and Spoon and Arc whenever he gets here, previously and pretty frequently. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. And for everybody here, I am Forge. I played Kai, No, the list is too long. I'm not going to do it.
I would like you to go over every individual
NPC name, please.
that you played.
I played a slew of characters, including the one that will come back and haunt them eventually, which I will not name names.
Bingo?
Maybe. I mean, I haven't ruled out the fact that Bingo could show up again.
If Crod shows up, I'm quitting.
I was just about to say,
I'm done. I'm gone.
I wait for Sky Turner to like randomly like show up or something.
Snow can
If
have my
Crod shows
spot.
up, if Crod shows up, I'm paying for a guest NPC to just murder him.
The ghost of Sky Tarneth past.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. When Ark gets here, we'll... Oh, Ark's here. Give us a quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sick and I was trying to take a nap and I overslept. Sorry.
No worries. Go ahead and give us a quick player introduction and who your character was last season.
All right, I am Ark Survivor, and last season I was playing Cedric Marsk, who was an ASMR fighter.
All right.
Was he a fighter?
Was he though?
Was he
Believe it or
not?
not? He was.
I mean, I only ask because fighters typically hit things.
Ouch.
Jeez.
Also typically
Or if
stay
you're a
alive.
fighter, you prevent the casters from ever being able to do anything.
Okay, you know what? To this day, I didn't know he was gonna turn into a giant monster.
And yet he did.
All right. And with that, we will start into our checklist here. Ark,
We haven't even taken a break.
it's like we haven't even taken a break. Ark, if you didn't see in the Discord, I have linked you the Session 0 checklist. It is a wonderful 7-page document full of tons of information that we're going to cover in this Session 0. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. Our campaign time, date, and location. Right here is where it's going to happen, right in the Discord and Roll20 servers every other Wednesday night, 7:30 to 10:30 Eastern Time. This gives us a half-hour flux at the end, or flexing at the end in case we need to kind of spill over just a little bit to get to a good stopping point in our storyline. Don't want to overextend it too much because I've noticed that anything past 11 o'clock, people start to kind of drift out a bit, which makes sense because that's more than 3.5 hours. People just at that point are kind of done, want to chill out and relax for the rest of the evening, and I get that. But with that, the attendance policy, because it is bi-weekly, and as you know, all the games are streamed, we do ask that you guys be here as often as you possibly can. Obviously, real life happens. You're not going to be able to make every session. As much as I would love for you to, and as much as I would love to be able to, I know it's just not going to happen that way. So as long as I've come to terms with it and you've come to terms with it, everything's going to be okay. Continuing down our list, game style discussion. How is this game going to be played? We are going to use a mix of Theater of the Mind and Roll20 maps. Maps will include everything from regional to planetary to city level to dungeons to individual buildings. It'll be a vast majority of any kind of dungeon diving kind of maps that you could think of. Because this game isn't a heavy, let's go and kill this, let's hunt X number of this kind of combat. It's going to have a variety of settings and maps. some of which, as I mentioned, is going to be theater of the mind. I'll give you a basic overlay. I'll show you where on the map you are. We'll discuss it. We'll talk about it. We'll give very, very vivid descriptions of what you're going to experience. Metagaming, pretty straightforward here. You guys know, limit the metagaming. Don't overthink it intentionally and try to, maximize it every possible opportunity. It's obviously not going to do anybody any favors, and it's more for the story than it is for the, I have to be the absolute best possible character that I can be. We're telling a different kind of story here, as we'll get into a little bit later. Microphone etiquette. Allow others to speak and share airtime. One thing that I have noticed, giants, it's not as much of an issue, though every now and then it does become a bit of a cluster. Having 6 individuals in a Discord chat where that is our primary means of communication does become a bit overbearing. Some people get carried away. They start into a tangent, carries on for a while, and then other people don't get to put their say in. We want to kind of let everybody talk and join in if they so choose. If you're the party face, remember that, kind of include others in that conversation as you're talking. Kind of throw that name out and say, hey, X individual, would you like to, do you have anything to add here or whatever? And also don't just kind of interrupt people either. That trying to talk over each other is obviously going to be discouraged here. Let's see. Table behavior. We're here to have fun. That's the biggest thing to remember. Don't do things that you know is going to upset somebody else. We're going to come in here every session. We're going to sit down and we're going to play a meaningful, fun, enjoyable, stressful, and sometimes angering game that everyone, when they leave this session, should enjoy and look to each other and be appreciative of having those other people there with you. All rolls, rolling guideline. Everything is taking place within Roll20. I say that, and I want to bring up our biggest point here. Because of the D&D Beyond integration, it changes things a bit. I would like to see interaction with the D&D Beyond interface. To do so, that means you guys have to interact with your characters within Beyond. However, the two aren't linked. So I wanted to get feedback from you. How do you want to proceed with this? Do you want to do all of your character management within Beyond and then come over here and just manually do your rolls and then just, manage the numbers on your character just from the token itself and not worry about a character sheet here? Or do you want to do both and keep both managed?
I prefer using D&D Beyond personally. That's what I use for all my other games. But that's just me.
I'm comfortable juggling both, but I like the idea of implementing D&D Beyond more because it is a really nice feature, so we should...
I'm in the same place as Rin.
Same.
Yep.
Okay. Spoon?
Yeah, I'm down for whatever.
Okay. So your characters will all be managed within D&D Beyond, and then when you come here, you're just going to have to do your, /R, whatever your dice roll is going to be. Don't forget your bonuses. It's going to be a little more to manage. If you want to import some of that information over here to Roll20, that way makes it a little easier, like your stats and stuff, so you could just do a quick initiative roll, things like that. Go ahead and do that, but the majority of your character management will be then done over in D&D Beyond. And if that's okay with everybody, that's how we'll kind of move forward with it. Let's see. Descriptive combat. As you guys know, we usually do a very basic and brief kind of descriptive combat. As we're playing, you perform an action. If you want to do something kind of cool, something a little different, you're going to run around, you're going to say, hey, I'm going to go and do this, and then I'll tell you the end result of it. Pretty much doesn't change here. We're going to kind of stick to that same theory. And then we'll also stick to the theory of, if you kill something, go ahead and tell me how epic that kill was, if you want to do so. I feel that kind of leaves some of that to you guys and makes you gives you the opportunity to be creative in the process and feel like you've added a little something extra to the flavor of the combat. Sharing the spotlight goes back up to our microphone etiquette. We won't really cover that again. Language and inappropriate topics. You guys know what's acceptable. I don't have to tell you what's not acceptable here. Everybody's played games here before. Everybody knows the stream rules and our channel rules here, so it's pretty straightforward. Just kind of follow those rules and everybody's good. Consistency. Show up. We ask that you show up as often as possible. That's really the only thing that we have for this. Campaign length. Campaign is 36 sessions long. While the overarching story is open-ended, each season changes something new. So as we're playing, you're going to get to about session 36, and that you'll know when you're getting close to the end because things are going to start happening. A part of the story moves forward. A big thing is coming up, and when you get to that point, you know that the season is ending, and when it ends, there's going to be an extended period of downtime. Once that downtime has occurred, set the next session or season 3 would then begin. Things have changed within the city, within the realm, within the 2 different planes of existence, and we will address those things as we move forward between each season. There will be notes, or will be the same kind of recaps that we had did on the first season of Civil War. Same kind of thing will happen here. My expectations for this game. I want you guys to just enjoy this. Again, I know the story can be stressful and irritating, and you hate people and you want them to disappear and want them to just go away. I want you to enjoy it, though. I want it to still feel like you want to be a part of this story. So everything that I'm building on with this story is going to be something that I want to be meaningful to you. And as we are building the story, just like before, everything is built around you specifically. So as we're going to continue to adjust and refine, and the story will grow and adapt to what you're doing and the things that your character wants, or the things that you would like to see in the game. And with that, what is it that you want to see in the game? Is there anything specific that comes to mind that you definitely want to see here?
Kai's corpse.
I mean, we just need to go to Eberron. He's walking around still.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Kai Gladamain is still walking around within Eberron, within Shaemordai.
Shambling.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could just visit the Petrorial house, where I think over the mantle is his head.
Yeah, we did keep that.
This is a weird family.
It's a fun trophy.
I would actually.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'd like to actually explore more of the city, because joining late, like I only got to do like a few sections, and it was pretty fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see what else is there and been expanded upon.
Okay. And that is actually perfect that you mentioned that, because that is the entire, or a majority of this campaign is focused around this one city. Much like the campaigns set in Waterdeep, where everything is kind of going on around that city, everything is going on around the city of Keleto, or in some cases in various parts of the realm, or even in different planes of existence. But for the majority, everything is going on within this very massive city, which we'll kind of get into here in just a little bit as well. Let's see. Tone of the campaign: political intrigue, espionage, and epic combat. Are any of you familiar with the 3.5 combat?
Yes.
And kind of like that super high fantasy, like pulp combat kind of battles, just, the real epic kind of fighting and stuff that they were trying to portray in 3.5.
Yep.
That's kind of what we're going for here. Because we're doing some of the new rules and things, like the changes to the long rest and short rest, the combat itself is going to be an epic kind of combat. Very descriptive. The world around you can be used in any way you see fit. That's what we are aiming for as we move forward with the combat in this campaign. And as we kind of talk about that, roleplay obviously encouraged. Combat is very fast-paced, kind of the epic pulp combat. As I kind of mentioned here, if you're fighting on an airship, there's a chance you can fall off that airship. Somebody pushes you off. What happens? Do you quickly react and grab onto one of the dangling ropes and keep yourself from falling to your death? Or do you plummet tens of stories to your death to the concrete below? That's kind of what we're going for with combat here. Everything feels like it's almost like an action movie kind of setting. You are kind of pushing to make it, and I will absolutely reward people for doing something super epic. So if you can think of a way to turn combat to this really cool, like, I just did this one thing that was just amazing. If you can do that, I'm going to reward you for that.
Well, Forge, that's pretty much how I build all of my characters to do, so I'm super happy to.
Yeah.
Adventure. Says there's a large world around you. You start small and you expand outward. What this means is your campaign will start in one ward within a very, very massive city. As you begin, you'll start to explore little bits and pieces of the city. You'll go from one place to another. The city will be yours to kind of pick and choose what you want to do. The unfortunate part of that is you're going to be able to pick up, and if you want to ignore stories and go to do something else, you can do that. There might be consequences for ignoring that story and the things that are going on, but it is your choice to do so. It will be an open map for you to pick and choose how you want to interact with the world around you. Story and adventure guidelines. Again, there is a defining story to the campaign. You will do things that are be added into an overarching story within the city of something that is going to have an impact on the future of the realm, on the future of the connections between Eberron and Toril. Every part of this, or every step of this kind of path, you're going to determine that outcome. I will make sure in one way or another that you follow through with some part of that story, even if you decide you're just going to adopt 1 million kittens and have a home in the middle of Keleto and do nothing else for the rest of the campaign. I will turn one of those kittens evil and force you into a story.
Come on, man, that was like plan 1.
Not Mr. Mittens.
Not Mittens!
Not the dope-ass tiger and all of their kids!
All of the dope-ass kittens.
No!
And now we get into the interesting part of things. We're going to talk about the custom rules of this campaign. So our crit rule still stands from previous games. Fumble rolls will happen on a fumble table. Success is a max damage plus your regular roll. There will be flanking in this campaign. If you are flanking in a direct line between you, the target, and the other person, it can't be skewed. It has to be a straight path, straight through the center of each one of the NPCs, or each one of the individuals on the map. If you do so, you'll have advantage on that attack. In addition, potions can be consumed on a primary or bonus action, which will be your choice. We are following the gritty realism rule, which means a short rest is 8 hours and a long rest is 7 days. This is going to make things very difficult. It also means you're not going to want to fight everything that comes up. You're going to want to roleplay those. You're going to want to take time, investigate, figure out everything you can figure out before jumping into combat, because you know that if you get too deep into combat and you have to rest, 7 days is going to pass. Things are going to happen. The area that you're in or the city itself, major events will pass, and there's really nothing you can do to stop that. On a side note, as you are playing, you will be given short breaks, which will be in the time frame of 10 to 30 minutes as you're playing. Between combat sessions, say you're investigating something or whatever, you'll be allowed to get back 1 hit die worth of HP as you're doing so. Nothing resets at that time though. So as you're kind of wandering around, and if you're looking pretty beat up, yeah, we'll give you 1 hit die worth. You could take a short break in between everything else that'll allow you to maybe stabilize yourself a little better or put yourself in a little better position before you try to continue forward. With that, we are also introducing hero points, which anybody who is familiar with 3.5 is familiar with hero points. As it reads, a character starts with 2 hero points at first level. Every time that you gain a level, you lose any unspent hero points and gain new hero points equal to 2 plus half of your character level. Basically, the way that this works is you can spend these on anything. Attack rolls, ability saves, or ability checks, saving throws. You can even use them on death saves to immediately turn a failure into a success. These are meant to be used in a very epic kind of setting say, a situation where a normal individual would fail something, you can now use this hero point to turn that failure into a success. You can use it to try to turn the tides in your favor. Something that NPCs would not have, something that normal commoners would not have. They don't have that bit of a hero's luck, as it were. We'll kind of cover a little more of this if you would like to a little later, but that gives you a very brief, or actually a pretty detailed overview of what the hero points do, and you'll just need to keep track of how many of them you're using or have used as we continue forward.
I've used that system before. It's pretty fun.
Gear and equipment. This says roll 20. It will not be roll 20 because we have decided that we're going to use D&D Beyond, so everything can be managed there. Impact of decisions. As you know, this is the story that we tell for you. Your decisions influence the story itself and how it is told. If we decide that, or you decide that you're going to change the story and, kind of bug out and leave and go back to the Sword Coast, well, then we'll find a way to tell a story of why you're in the Sword Coast and what's going on there. That is your choice, and I will do everything I can to give you that story. But I do ask that you please don't derail the campaign too much.
Imagine I say something snarky here.
Yeah. But let's get into the stuff that you really care about. The focus of this entire campaign, or the majority of this campaign, is around the city of Keleto, which I've sent you guys notes on. Kind of an overview of what the city is and what's going on around you. You will spend the greater portion of your campaign within this city. It has become the metropolis and the focal point of the Living Isles. And as it continues to grow and continues to expand, you're going to be here to see some of the day-to-day struggles that the people end up going through. However, that doesn't mean you're only going to be in this city. You will travel to the other islands within the Living Isles. You'll travel to the Sword Coast. You'll make your way back to RNL on Eberron. Everything is going to have a purpose. You're going to head to various parts and various regions because something is going to influence the way this campaign goes, and the way that you handle those situations will change that. The setting itself is in the year 1527, which is 25 years after the events of Season 1. You begin within the month of Elint, 5 days before the Festival of Remembrance. And with that, I'm going to share something else with you.
Hey, Forge, real quick.
Yep.
Just a question that came up, I noticed in chat. Since we're doing the longer short rest and long rest, is that affecting spellcasting at all?
In which way?
Certain spells are recovered with long rests and stuff like that, so
Absolutely.
They are still being affected by 7 days and stuff?
They absolutely are.
Alrighty, makes spell choices more important too. Cool. Okay, just wanted the clarification.
Yep, and yeah, that's a big part with that is it makes you become very picky about what you are doing. Yes, magic is used widely through this region, but do you want to use high-level magic for this, or is this something that maybe gathering a spell scroll within the market would be a little better for. And it will put a premium on spell scrolls, obviously, or random magic items that you'll be able to purchase in the market, because you're not going to want to burn a 5th level spell on, a generic combat that you don't know if this is even going to matter at the end. You're going to be very picky about what you do. So yes, that's kind of like the ultimate purpose of this, is it makes you choose when to use your high level magic and when to stick to more common means of defeating something, or possibly trying to talk it out of combat.
Unless you're a warlock.
Unless you're a warlock.
I also had a question real quick.
Okay.
About so if your character has like kind of one specific thing you're gonna do something to make them part of the story, pretty much.
Does your character have one specific thing? No.
Well, like my character has one specific goal at the beginning, I'm guessing, is how my backstory is.
So your backstory contributes to the overarching story in a means of, as you're being included and as you're continuing, you'll learn things about your past and how things have taken place and things like that. It has less impact on the story itself, and it's more just backstory and kind of fleshing out the character. The choices you make and the things you do within the campaign are going to have a bigger impact on what you're actually doing and what happens in the campaign itself.
Okay.
And as you see, I have linked a Excel spreadsheet for each of you that is the full calendar breakdown of both Toril and Eberron. This includes all of the major holidays of the 2 planes of existence, along with holidays within the city of Keleto.
Forge, quick question.
Yep.
About this. This may or may not have to do with your state of your current sanity. Where did you find the various calendars?
There are a
You don't
number.
have to dig deep in Google.
Yeah, no, there are a number of calendars that come up pretty easily for both Toril
I remember
and
they
Eberron.
even have an official one for 5e in the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide.
Mm-hmm.
I like the attention to detail that the Faerun calendar does take into account that their week is 10.
Yep, and not
I
just
mentioned
that.
that in Dragon Heist.
And not just that, but the month, and here's how, and that's something else we'll get into here in a little bit, but between the two, there's a difference in the number of days per month. They're the same number of months, and the year is considered the same duration. In Eberron, the 13th month was removed. Time still flows the same from day 1 to day 30 in Toril as it would from day 1 to day 28 in Eberron. So as things are occurring in Eberron on a specific day, they'll happen about that same day in Toril. Now,
Okay, so there's not like any time displacement where it's like, well, you went to Eberron, but you went there on a day that they don't have, so...
Correct, yeah. It would just basically... time is a little wonky between the two realms. And a month is about the same period of time. They just, on their calendars, are marked differently.
We're just not getting down to the very microsecond.
Pretty much.
I can't. I don't think I can handle that. I need to know.
Now, in addition to that, we will also be tracking the planar cycles, which at the very top, if you look in the top right, the Eberron moon cycle, if you click that link, it will tell you what the moon and planar cycles are for Eberron. This is very important to you because you'll want to keep an eye on Mabar and Irion, as those two are connected to Toril here. And yes, Bailey, the Festival of Remembrance is a celebration to the heroes which saved the realm. The 14 days that covers is the 14 days in which Kai threatened the realm within the city of Keleto. And in remembrance and in celebration of the heroes, those 14 days are basically a very long celebration of what these heroes had done for the realm. And it is going to be pretty fun for you guys to see pretty early on in the campaign as you are starting on Elite 11, which is 5 days before the festival begins.
And if I'm not mistaken, almost all of it, we're all like playing the children of our own characters.
In some way, yes.
Cool.
Again, as we kind of look into the planar cycles of the various planes in Eberron, you will notice Mabar is coming into Coterminus again. And if you click that link and you put in the year 1037 and you go to the month Therendor 28, you'll see that is when Coterminus begins, which will be the 30th of Elite in Faerun, or Toril. So we'll be tracking that because that's going to be very important. Because as you know, Irion is important to Keleto because that is the greatest bond that the city had to Eberron itself. And on the flip side of that, when it comes to everything that Kai had brought to the realm, it was based on the power of Mabar, which still has a grasp on the realm, because in order to completely get rid of that negative energy, you would have to get rid of the positive energy. And obviously, the people of Keleto and the Gladomain really don't want to get rid of that. But let's continue on our checklist, and we can continue to chat about some of that other stuff in a little bit. Magic and technology, and I didn't do any spell checking. I was just trying to write it out quickly, so apologies for any misspelled words here. High level magic and advanced technology. There are new spells that you'll be able to use, and new technology that you'll be able to use thanks to the connection to Eberron. If you do not already have it, I will link it here for you. Oh, I can't. I will have to link it to you later. I have a spell book from 3.5. It's called The Magic of Eberron. I will allow you guys to look through this book, find things that would closely relate to your characters in class, and we will find a way to integrate that into your character. in some way, even if it's a spell that is granted to your character as you go, or is something that is given to you in a magic item. We will be able to add that at some point, but it's going to come through your connection to Eberron through this campaign. And in addition to that, other things will start to occur, other spells, some of the way that the magic is used here, or that was used in Eberron, is now starting to be used here, because that technology is being passed from one realm to the other. Also with that, you will also see the dragon marked houses of Eberron making their appearance here as well. Some of them run entire wards of the city, while others just have shops or buildings within the city itself. There are a wide variety of dragon marked houses. If you are not familiar with those, they are in the Wayfarer's Guide to Eberron, which is in D&D Beyond. You can quickly kind of go through and check that as your link to this campaign. You'll be able to see that. The gods of the Forgotten Realms are accepted here. The Blood of Vol and the Undying Court are also present. Those are Eberron setting religions that existed. You guys are very familiar with the Undying Court, as they were a big part of the very end, towards the finale of the campaign itself. Scarlet Hand have once again been outlawed, pushed out, including the following of Tirasi Ascended. In addition to that, the god Natar, who was once again starting to be celebrated by the Scarlet Hand, is also back in seclusion once more, as they continue to push out the Scarlet Hand from the city. A new religion has begun to rise. Actually, two have begun to rise, but one is completely new, which is the followers of Ezator, which begin to climb through the ranks within the city after the defeat of Tirasi Ascended. And then, of course, Kaifon has risen in popularity, mostly in Rainhaven, but there is a very large temple within the city of Keleto, also dedicated to Kaifon.
All hail the purple star.
All hail the purple star. Classes and races.
All hail Hypnotoad. Sorry.
All races within the Forgotten Realms and Eberron are allowed in this setting. So you are welcome to choose any of them, though I believe all of you have already set up your characters and are kind of already prepared for this. Significant realm changes, things that would matter to you, things that you've already seen. Crow's Nest Cove was destroyed, as you guys learned as you were traveling towards the Forgotten Forest. Once the undead and the Dracolich were released from the Labyrinth of the Morning Dragons, they pretty much destroyed everything in their path, and that included Crow's Nest Cove itself. The city of Nareen is still abandoned. After the death curse hit the city, it never recovered. They could never get close enough to take care of the city and to kind of rebuild it, despite Tyr's intervention to release the souls. Those individuals that were already cursed with the plague then became lifeless, meaningless kind of zombies that have ravaged everything in the northwestern corner of the island of Rainhaven itself. Because of this, the area is now referred to as the Plague Lands, and travelers are advised never to go north of the forest located in the center of the map, the Mystic Wilds.
We're gonna go there, aren't we?
Maybe.
Totally.
Stormholm Keep is completely destroyed. As you guys know, the undead attacked the city and pretty much devastated everything within. As such, the people began to abandon the city. They fled to the east and to the north. East heading over towards Falseharbor, north making their way towards the city of Keleto. With the king gone and the children of the king left to try to take care of things, they opted to work with Muriel Gladamain and secure a safe haven for their people within the city of Keleto instead of attempting to take back the keep itself. Falseharbor is now about the same size that the city of Keleto was in the first campaign. It's continued to grow and expand on the far east coast of the island of Tel Karra. It is connected to the city of Keleto through the lightning rail. So if you ever wanted to travel there, you could always take the lightning rail to that city. Pylas Talaer, which was the point where our alliance friends ended up planar traveling to, that has become a major trade port, and as such has become a big link between Eberron and the Living Isles itself. The very large gateway that sits in the center of the city connects Pylas Talaer to the city of Keleto. If you ever wanted to go to Eberron to go do something, or if you wanted to go to RNL and maybe head to Shemordai, that is how you would get there, through this very large archway that sits in the center of the city. RNL again is still doing its thing with the Undying Court and the undead, or the Undying within the island itself. They have taken a bit more of a defensive posture, however. Seeing this continued growth and this connection between the Living Isles and Eberron, they are a little more isolated. They have isolated themselves a little more from the rest of the island of RNL itself. Let's see. Major NPCs and power of the NPCs. All of the tribes still exist. So all of the smaller families and all of the leaders of the realm are still in existence here. In some way, shape, or form, though they may not be as powerful as they were before. The most notable difference, however, is the addition of the drow line, which had been in seclusion during the first campaign. The Kraybot drow are now big players in the realm, being the original first people of the Living Isles are now trying to reestablish themselves here after being pushed away due to the Dragon Wars that was kind of outlined in the previous campaign as well. Muriel Gladamain has risen to power and kind of taken the place of the king. Upon his death, the realm kind of gathered behind her and said, you know, she's proving to be a very capable leader, and have fully supported Muriel and the Gladamain High Council to help guide the realm itself. And as such, with the king being out of the picture due to his untimely death, Cassius and Edgar Stormholm, the two sons of the king, have openly supported the Gladamain and relinquished any power that they had to the throne. However, they do still hold a ward within the city and have control over that ward, as most of the people there are from Stormhome Keep itself. The Peredris continue to rebuild on the island of Rainhaven. However, the northern portion is obviously kind of abandoned and kind of a lost cause to them. As such, they have continued to expand within Ashenport. Ashenport is now the size of a major city, a bit smaller than Nareen was, but still pretty sizable, as the people are kind of split between when they left from Nareen, they went to kind of Bria, and then they headed up north towards Falseharbor and ended up in Keleto itself, and then a few of them made their way over to Ashenport, so the people kind of spread a little bit everywhere there. The Victus, they remain in existence. House Victus is still a thing. However, they are under the guidance of Kasara Argent. Most of you remember she was the commander of the Alliance Militia. And she has done a lot of great things for the people of the island of Kurth. So it's kind of refreshing to see her in more of a leadership role now that Bo Victus has stepped down and had actually passed away a few years prior to this campaign.
Oh no.
Oh,
Let
darn.
me just feel so bad about that.
The Riverstride and the Dragonfolk of Tel Karra, they have formed an alliance and fall under the House Riverstride name. And while a majority of them are within just the city of Tel Karra, they do have an outpost within the city of Keleto as well. And as you guys know from the overview, the ESS has been folded into Ebon Company, which is the security force of the Living Isles, using information and strength of the militia to keep the people safe.
An important question.
Mm-hmm.
How many Aarakocra do we have now?
Limited numbers. They come on ships and arrive or fly if they decide they're going to fly for 2 weeks, but most come by ship. However, the one that you're referencing is not in existence.
Oh no, he's dead.
Yeah, they don't
I
have
mean,
a
they don't
very
live
long
that long.
lifespan.
Oh, he was like 20.
Aarakocra only lived like 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, yeah, they have a very short lifespan, so...
He died doing what he loved.
Yeah. However, the Flathammer tribe, which was connected to his master, does also exist, though in much smaller portions after the battle between the Flathammer and the Fire King, Freyas, whenever he attacked. So that's still a thing as well.
Did he lose? Or is that unknown?
Did who lose?
The Fire King.
Oh no. He slaughtered the Flathammer tribe.
So he won, but he didn't get everyone?
Correct. A lot of people fled when they attacked. The Flathammer are still in existence in smaller numbers. The order in which Lorigus had followed also exists in this realm, as some of them begin to venture back to the home of their master to attempt to rejoin with the original tribe, with the Flathammer tribe, and attempt to kind of form something that to them felt a little more meaningful.
Did the king ever try to come to us for our promise we promised him, or did he forget about it?
Well, he's dead. So
no, I mean the fire giant king.
Oh no, once he took over, like, you promised to bring him the Flathammer tribe, and he didn't even wait. Like, as you guys proceeded on to the Forgotten Forest, he immediately started loading his men onto ships and immediately started heading over to Rent Key and began to slaughter.
Attack.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, basically we essentially gave him permission to go and slaughter him, is what it really was.
That's pretty much what that was, is he was just waiting for somebody to just say, yeah, sure, we'll help you. And as soon as you said that, he just went for it.
Did he rub his hands together and smile maniacally?
Uh-huh.
I seem to remember him being pretty pleased when we left with everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's all he wanted. He just wanted somebody to approve of what he was doing, so that's what he did. Let's see. Game systems and books allowed. Forgotten Realms and Eberron. Pretty much everything for lore is being used. We are using 5e with custom rules. We are using all of the books available to you. Anything that is available in D&D Beyond can be used, up to and including anything in the Unearthed Arcana as well. Same with classes and races. Pretty much follow the same thing. Starting level and level range. You will start at level 1. You are normal people going about your day until a heroic event happens and you spring into action and decide maybe you can help this city in some way. But you will continue to level all the way through to level 20. It may take a while, but you'll get there. Guidelines for pacing of leveling. As I mentioned, the first 3 to 5 will move fairly quickly. I didn't finish the sentence on that. But you're going to notice that the pacing on this is pretty much on par to what is seen in, for those of you that are in the Amongst the Giants campaign, it'll be pretty similar to that. After you hit, I think it's like level 7, it starts to slow down pretty quickly. And it'll take a while for you to continue to gain levels. But you'll eventually reach level 20. Like I said, it may take 2 seasons to do so. It may take some time, but it's going to happen eventually. Chaotic evil is obviously not allowed in this campaign. For obvious reasons, because we are not running an evil campaign here and you're trying to do good for the city. I feel like chaotic evil would just have too much of a contrast to what the party would be trying to attempt or trying to do. Attributes. So I had you guys pick instead of rolling, as it just kind of felt like it was all over the place and I just wasn't liking what I was seeing. So we're just going to stick to the point buy. I've had you guys already roll up the characters with point buy. We'll just go ahead and stick to that for the campaign. It's going to go on long enough that I'm sure you're going to end up with whatever stats you're looking for in the long run here. I'm not too worried about that.
So how many of these people do I have to sacrifice for more charisma? I mean, what?
You're going to have to do the opposite of sacrifice them. You're going to need to make sweet, sweet love to them.
All right.
Line up.
Truly the child of Rylan.
Everybody take a number.
Starting wealth and gear. You can choose starting equipment, or you can roll for gold and pick what you want. Obviously, that's because we're starting at level 1, and you're going to get things early that are going to help you in the campaign. They're going to... I like this idea that we have had in other games where we give you a weapon, and the weapon grows with you and becomes more powerful with you. It sticks with you as something that changes or gets modified, or as you attune to it, you find that the power is greater the more that you understand it and you work with it. I like that idea, and I want to do something similar here. Though it will not be weapons, more than likely. It will be a magic item of sorts, and it will continue to level with you.
I like that idea.
So do I.
Guidelines for backgrounds. It would be beneficial to you if you had a background that was tied to the region, obviously, but it's not a requirement. I did give you the list of common backgrounds that you might want for this campaign based on what you are going to see. But you are obviously welcome to ignore all of that and pick something else that you would like. Integration into the world. As you know, I will use your backgrounds and find a reason that your character would be involved within this city and the political scene itself. There's obviously going to be a reason that all of you are here, other than I was born here. If you give me just a little bit to work with, I will make sure that you are integrated into this story in some form. It may not be, oh my god, it's super epic, but it's going to tie you into the story and give you a reason to be interested and give you some intrigue and make you go, wait, this has to do with my family, or this has to do with me, or oh, my high school boyfriend now has shown back up into my life. I mean, it could be any number of things. Give me something to work with, and I will make sure that you are integrated into this story in some way. And again, selecting your background will also tie you into it, because I will be able to feed you information based on the background that you provide. So if you make a selection of any of the backgrounds above, then you're obviously going to be able to tie yourself to that story and those individuals. So I can add you in. One of them that is not mentioned on here, we have like Knight of the Order, but if you are a Knight of the Order of a specific group, for instance, in Freddy's case, if he is part of the Flaming Fist, then maybe he's a soldier or something with that organization. If you want to tie yourself within that, you're more than welcome to do so. Let's get into the questions that I received from you guys. And I received a handful. Some of them have lengthy explanations. Some of them have very simple explanations. The hardest one to explain for me is the hierarchy of the city. The question came up of what is the hierarchy within Keleto and how does it work? The simple answer is it's a twofold hierarchy. You have a city-wide and realm-wide. So kind of similar to before, where you had the king who was supposed to oversee the entire region, and then you had leaders of each one of the islands. It's pretty similar in this case. Your city-wide leadership comes down to members of a council called the 22. They're basically like representatives, like senators almost, or state representatives in U.S. government, where they run and help run the part of the city that they are responsible for, and they provide feedback to the Gladamain High Council, who sits atop the region as the leaders of the realm. Mariel has been put into a place of power, kind of not too dissimilar from what the king was in the very beginning, before the two factions broke off and started heading towards war. And all of the islands within the Living Isles look to her as their leader. Within the city itself, there are wards within the city. 22 of them, and they are represented by the 22, which are the representatives. Each one of them run their portions of the city a little differently. Some of them run them based on their race. Some of them run them based on religion. You'll run into different issues as you go into those. Some are financial, racial tensions, maybe just, they're just having trouble with a bunch of petty crooks in the town, or in their part of the town. And you're going to have to find ways to help them and to solve their issues and keep the city from revolt. Because as you can expect, when you put a bunch of different individuals with all different beliefs and all different races and cultures, not all of them get along. And when that occurs, they start to look for ways that they feel would be better. And that includes all the way up to revolting against the city leaders and trying to overthrow government. The question came up, is there racism and cultural challenges in the realm? Yes. Some races are frowned upon and looked down on, especially the newer races coming from Eberron, such as the Warforged, who are oftentimes just looked at as mindless slaves and are used just as strong, able bodies to be able to offload ships at the sea ward or the dock ward. It varies based on each group. As this mentions, dwarves may not be as understanding as the elves would, so maybe they'll be a little more strict. And you go into their region and you don't follow their rules, well, they might not take so kindly to it. It's going to create a unique challenge for all of you as you kind of make your way around the city and look to help to kind of resolve some of the issues that are kind of plaguing the city itself. It was asked, what is the state of the Peredris family? For obvious reasons. They obviously live. Saren remains in the city of Ashenport, with Noreen still kind of overran. The Peredris also oversee one of the larger wards within the city of Keleto, which is named Noreen's Folly.
Harsh.
Mm-hmm. Are there changes to magical practices since Eberron's influence has entered the world? Yes. There's new magic to be learned. The way that magic is performed is mostly the same, except it's easier to come by now. So stuff that used to be, if you talk to it in terms of mechanics, some stuff that used to be first and second level spells are starting to be added into day-to-day objects to just make life easier for people. Even if it's just basic stuff like prestidigitation is put onto like a wand that, you know, a person who, like a maid or somebody, can easily just kind of swipe over the room and it magically makes the room the way it's supposed to be.
We've entered the privileged part of the realm.
Pretty much.
Arcane feather duster.
Pretty much. What season is the party starting in, and are there upcoming holidays and festivals? As listed, you are starting in the Faerun season of fall. It's early fall, not quite getting to the point where it's starting to get cold, which is why it seemed just kind of normal to you guys. You didn't experience any weird weather or anything like that in the campaign. And because of that, as we continue forward, you're going to see some weather changes. It's going to drop to freezing temperatures in the city of Keleto. Even though it's in a desert, it can still get pretty frigid, especially right off of the sea itself. And based on the location of the isles itself, on the world map, temperatures can be pretty cold here. Let's see, what do we got? The Festival of Remembrance is coming up in 5 days from the start of the campaign. It lasts for 14 days to coincide with the 14-day threat that Tyrus had given to the people. And then a few days later is the Day of Remembrance, which is a yearly celebration which occurred exactly 1 year after the rise of Tyrus. Again, kind of ran out of time here. It is a celebration of the champions and of those who had fallen in combat. So those who they had lost, the people, the citizens. It is a celebration of the king and Lady Gladamain. It's a kind of somber event where the festival is a very lively and enthusiastic thing within the city. The Day of Remembrance is very somber. Something that will have... it has a very important meaning to all of the people across the Living Isles. And then will any of the previous cast be showing up? I just put yes. Because they will. I don't know who.
I don't like that.
I don't know when. But they will.
I'm the only... me and Belvedere are gonna, or Ryan and Belvedere are gonna be real. Everybody else is like elf-blooded.
Yeah, you're old.
Excuse you, Cedric is in no elf blood.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Elf-blooded or a celestial.
Yeah, that's better.
The map, which I had made at the end of the last campaign, still holds true. These places all still exist. They might be in shambles, but they still exist. They are all potential areas that you can go to during the campaign. I do not have the completed city map, as I am literally mapping out buildings within each city ward. So I still have some time to go before I'm going to be finished with that. But you at least have this one. The other one will be ready by session 1. So hopefully that's acceptable. If not, there's nothing you can do about it. All right. And now let's talk about the wards. As I mentioned, there are 22 wards within the city. One ward is isolated from the others. That is kind of marked as a neutral zone, and I didn't put it on this list, though it will be something that we'll eventually talk about later. I won't go into big detail on these wards because they're kind of outlined here. They tell you kind of what each ward is known for, and who is in charge of those wards. Some of these wards are led by people you're familiar with. Narine's Folly, for instance, is led by the Peridrus and is overseen by an aging Mylela Balroras, which was in charge of the city of Narine. Other parts of the city are led by individuals you've never met before, families or houses that have started to pop up into existence since the gates opened between the Living Isles and Eberron. For instance, House Rain is basically a group of shifters from Eberron, but they have adapted and begun to add lycanthropes and even blood hunters within their ranks, and make their own little home within the city. There's a variety of people, including the dragon-marked houses. Not all of them, as I mentioned before, have their own ward within the city. Some of them are here just in a very kind of general sense. Some of them have just embassies. For instance, who was the one that I mentioned earlier? The Falaran? Faerlin. The Faerlin High Elves, they don't have a ward here because they have kind of like a presence through the entire realm that a lot of people, some people like, some people don't. And again, it's something that'll come up later. You can look over this, get a feeling for who's here, and I will mark as we get into the actual game map itself. I will mark each ward with these numbers so you can see who is where. And with that, that is everything I have to cover that I wanted to cover for the session 0. What more would you like to talk about?
Is there still tiefling racism, or has that gone away with all the newbies around?
It exists. It's not as bad, mostly because, like I said, some of the older races within Toril kind of look down upon, like the changelings and the shifters and the warforged. There's still a bit of dislike between like some of the houses of elves and tieflings, but it's not as bad as what it would be if you were an Eberron race.
So basically, the newbies have taken the heat off of the tieflings now.
Yes.
Or have it easier to...
Yeah, generally you'll get less negative stares now than what some of the other races would. Yes.
So coming from where I'm from, it'll be I'll have less racism coming at me.
Yep, pretty much.
Awesome.
So the question I actually came up with, like, after the fact, that, like, it hit me. So I don't know, like, how much of it specifically you have planned or whatever, but I'm just curious as to, like, how much involvement or, like, influence that, like, the Sword Coast and, like, the various, like, nations and or the various cities and stuff along that are, like, having in regards to, like, Keleto and the Living Isles.
Yep. And that's actually something that is kind of... It varies, to be honest. The Sword Coast itself, while most of it's just trade between the cities, because there is established connections, like Cedric and the Marsk family back on the Sword Coast would still have a connection here. There is an entire area that's basically just like an outsider's embassy, which is the other region of the 22 wards. The one that's missing off there, that's where they would reside. They have a representative that speaks for the other realms, but because they are one out of a voice of 22, obviously the outside realm doesn't have as much sway as somebody who is established here within the city.
Like the Flaming Fist, which I did see that there.
But the Flaming Fist, yep, exactly. They are established within the city. They have a place here, and because they have a place here, they also have a say in how things go.
So first order of business, burn down the Flaming Fist.
That would be ironic.
Right? Wait until we run into them in Tomb. They're jerks.
What? No, they're nice guys.
I mean, Belvedere was alright.
That's mostly because of given the circumstances of Tomb of Annihilation, that's besides the point.
Alright.
Belvedere is a perfectly stand-up and respectable gentleman.
So, with that, you guys have your characters made in D&D Beyond. You have your stats. If you want to import any of that information to just make it easier to roll for things here, you are welcome to do so. Again, that's not the requirement. I'm not requiring that you keep your stuff updated in D&D or in Roll20. I am asking that you keep everything always updated in D&D Beyond, though.
Oh, it sounds good to me.
Yep.
Anyone have any other questions?
Sounds like we're good.
All right. With that, we will look at the calendar real quick. And I believe the next possible game day would be the day after Christmas. I don't know what everybody's availability is, but that's why we're talking about it now.
I will be free to play.
As will I.
I mean, I don't think it should be a problem.
I should be okay.
Okay.
I'll have to check.
Okay.
The 26th?
Yes.
Yeah, I can make it.
Okay. Ark, if you let us know if we are good, that will officially be session 1, and we will dive into this campaign.
I get to pick my own patron, right? Just making sure.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, you decide what patron you make a deal with.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I've chosen the fiend, but I mean, can I choose the exact fiend I get to have my pact with?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
And that way, you can impose your pact ideals onto Forge and make it much more relevant, kind of like Typhon.
Mm-hmm.
All hail the purple star.
All hail the purple star.
All right. Anything else for me, guys?
Nope, I'm pretty much good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent. Yep. All right. Well, first session is jotted down for the 26th. If anything comes up, you guys let me know. I'm going to quickly end stream and hang out for a bit, and we can continue to chat if you want. But if not, I hope you guys have a good night. All right. So, thank you for tuning in for the session 0, which was just an information session. We wanted to talk about the game, explore, talk a little about the city and what's going to take place. Thank you for being here. I know it wasn't anything special. It's no combat. There's no role play. It's just a lot of boring blah blah. It's just us talking. But thank you at least for being here. I am back on Friday with Stealing Dragons. I hope you guys will tune in for it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Till then, hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you then. See you soon.